You can never be too prepared. During the wildfires of '06, we really didn't have an animal emergency management plan. It was somewhat unorganized.
I look over the past couple of years with the hurricanes that we had, not only in Louisiana but in Texas, the wildfires that we had in the Texas Panhandle, the tornadoes that we've had, across the country even this year. When those things start hitting close to home, you realize that, yeah, you do need some type of action plan in place that you can implement when there are emergencies.
Disasters, whether man-made or natural, can happen anytime, anywhere. These disasters frequently involve animals as well as people. The economic impact can be devastating. Preparing for these situations and having a disaster plan in place can help curb losses in your area. During the next few minutes, this video will give you an overview on how to assemble an animal issues plan that meets the guidelines created by the Texas Animal Health Commission. Discussion will include possible disaster situations, exploring the role of the Animal Issues Committee, identifying the planning process, and discussing follow-up actions for the committee. Threats or potential threats to animal populations can be classified by the source of the threat as well as the cause of the threat. Threats from biological causes can be natural or man-made, and likewise, threats from non-biological causes can be natural or man-made. Disasters, whether intentional or unintentional, can be classified into two different categories. Biological or disease-related disasters pose unique challenges. Examples of these types of threats include outbreaks of diseases such as foot and mouth disease or avian influenza. These biological threats could be the result of a naturally occurring outbreak or a result of human intervention, whether accidental or intentional. Conversely, but equally challenging to prepare for, are threats that are non-biological. Floods, fires, storms, or drought are just a few examples of naturally occurring non-biological disasters. Still, other non-biological disasters such as power outages, explosions, or hazardous material releases can result from human intervention, whether it is intentional or accidental. The course of action to be taken in the event of one of these disasters will be very much influenced by the type of disaster faced.
In the event of disease versus non-disease type situations, if it is a disease that is a regulatory type disease, it has to be reported, such as foot and mouth disease, anthrax, avian influenza, any of those diseases that are reportable. Texas Animal Health Commission and USDA, it's going to be a top-down authority. They're going to come in, they're going to set up the quarantines, they're going to set up the sampling procedures, and they're going to pretty much be the individuals in charge. They will tap into the animal issue plan and pull out different sections that they need to implement at that point in time, such as the roadblocks, such as the backhoes, such as the trailers to transport. They're going to just utilize certain resources out of that animal issue plan when they start setting up these quarantines and stuff. If it is deemed that it is a terrorist type activity, FBI comes in and then they are the lead agency. It's no longer USDA or Animal Health Commission, it's going to be an FBI investigation. Now, in the event that it's a non-disease type issue, such as hurricanes, wildfires, power outages, anything like that, then it's going to be at the local level. And I cannot emphasize that enough. All this comes back to the local level, think globally, act locally type situation. So we're going to have our local animal issue plan that's going to be implemented at the local level to handle these different types of situations. So it'll be Joe Blow down the road who's going to be called, hey, we've got a power outage at a poultry house. We've got a bunch of dead birds. Can you come in and, bring in the backhoe? We're going to have to dispose of these birds in some way. Or we've got live birds but no power. We need, Tim Brown's generator from down the road. So it's going to be at the local level. Now let's say that the local level has sustained serious damage due to a tornado or something and they are kind of out of commission. Then it goes up through the chain of command, through the district COGS, all the way up to the state to say, hey, we need assistance. And then that's when the state comes down and says, okay, here's the resources that we can provide as a state. Now let's say the state is in a type of disaster as well, then it goes all the way up to the national level, such as FEMA. So we start at the local level, and that's why these animal issue plans are so important, because without this proper chain of command, we're all dead in the water. We're not going to get any resources from anybody if we don't have it going through the proper channels all the way up to the state or national levels.
There is little doubt that a disaster, regardless of the type, can have significant implications on our animal populations. However, those impacts can be minimized with the appropriate planning at the city or interjurisdictional level. Guidelines for incorporating an Animal Issues Committee plan into local emergency management plans were adopted by the Governor's Division of Emergency Management and the Texas Animal Health Commission in 2004. State law requires all cities and counties to have up-to-date emergency management plans, but existing regulations contain no provisions for including animal issues in these plans. Animal Issues Committees and the local animal management plan they create will formalize the response to disasters involving animal issues. Animal Issue Committee members might include emergency management coordinators, county extension agents, veterinarians, and other appropriate animal industry personnel. In addition, agricultural science teachers, animal control officers, state and federal animal health personnel, and others who can all contribute knowledge and experience regarding animal issues to the group. The local Animal Issues Committee will work closely with the local emergency management coordinator, help anticipate problems, and develop an Animal Issues Committee plan. The Texas Animal Health Commission, in accordance with the Governor's Division of Emergency Management, has established guidelines for developing an Animal Issues Committee plan. The first step in the planning process is to identify animal populations in the city or county.
It's very important that we identify the different species of animals that are in the county. So we're going to break it down into 3 different main groups. We're going to have our companion animals, which are going to be dog, cats, pocket pets, so rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, those types of critters. And then we're going to have our livestock, which are going to be cattle, sheep, goats, horses. And then we're going to have our wildlife.
It would be much too difficult to identify the specific number of household pets and wildlife in a community. Instead, consideration of the general overall numbers of pets that might be expected to evacuate or be sheltered in a disaster situation is prudent. We can, however, identify livestock concentrations in a city or county. It's also important to know their approximate location and basic species type. The same steps are necessary when identifying companion animals.
How are we going to get these pets out of these areas if we have to evacuate? So do we need kennels? Do we need muzzles?
In 2006, wildfires destroyed more than 1 million acres in Texas, devastated livestock populations, and threatened towns and communities. The issue of companion animals rose to the forefront.
It includes town dogs and cats and pets such as that in town. And where do we go with those? Nobody really had, the only place we have is the animal shelter there in town. And you start talking about 16,000 to 18,000 people in town, that's a lot of potential pets. So, they were out of room instantly. Didn't really know where to go with them, how to house them, things like that. I know that some counties did learn from Katrina about their animals, usually a show barn or a livestock barn in some fashion. Like our show barns would have been that location for our pets, but they'd have to be retained in pet carriers, things such as that. Then the people that own them would be responsible for feeding them, things like that nobody really thought about, especially if the fires did come into town and we had to evacuate town. So that was going to be a very unorganized aspect of it as well.
Once animal populations in the county have been identified, the second step in creating the plan is to ensure that you have a comprehensive list of resources, including people, equipment, land, and financial support in place.
Within the plan, you should have key individuals that you need to contact in times of disasters or if there is some form of emergency. You need to have resources available and a list of those resources. You need to have locations where you can house animals, be it pets or some type of livestock. And we have those locations and facilities identified and have contact people's names for those locations. And then if there's any type of evacuation that needs to be done, you need to have some type of evacuation plan set in stone so that you can implement it if the need arises.
Having somebody to contact, especially a rancher, local rancher that knows neighbors, things like that, that can either get together trailers, facilities to load or haul or deliver to, whatever. That would have been a great increase in maybe timeliness.
We might need someone to sit at a roadblock, because if it is a disease type situation, we're going to have a stop movement of animals in and out of areas as well as people in some situations. So we're going to have people who can man roadblocks.
The responsibility of the Animal Issues Committee is to formally identify livestock concentrations and basic numbers of companion animals. From there, a comprehensive list of resources that could be made available to serve emergency responders in the event of a disaster can be formulated. However, the committee responsibilities extend beyond drafting the Animal Issues Committee plan. Once the committee plan is written, the appropriate animal-related appendices to the existing local emergency management plan should be developed. Upon completion of the appendices, the committee should ensure the personnel in charge of the plan are appropriately trained. Practice sessions should be conducted to see if the training has been adequate. If not, the training may have to be enhanced or the appendices revised.
When you start developing these plans, think realistically. I mean, don't just sit there and think of the most outlandish things that you could possibly have occur.
Practicing the plan like this helps to ensure its thoroughness. From the practices exercises, situation reports should be developed and included with the plan.
And say we're going to be practicing for foot and mouth disease, and we're going to try something, and we have a tabletop exercise and it doesn't work, then we're going to write that one section out of our plan and write, hey, we did this and this worked. So make sure you do practice these plans so we know what does and does not work in the event of a disaster.
Practice exercises could possibly range from tabletop scenarios to full-scale drills. More information on practicing your plan is available from the Texas Animal Health Commission. Finally, animal populations as well as resources are constantly changing. Review the plan annually to reflect any changes over time.
I think once you get the plan established, and and that probably takes maybe a couple, 2 or 3 years to actually get the plan established. So on those initial years, first or second year, you may need to meet 2 or 3 times a year just to make sure that you got all the bases covered, you got all the areas addressed that might arise during a disaster.
The Texas Animal Commission recognizes that local animal issues committees represent a critical link in the support role to local emergency management coordinators. To accomplish the task of creating and sustaining effective animal issues plans, your Animal Issues Committee is asked to review and follow the objectives and guidelines for local animal issues committees developed by the Texas Animal Health Commission and approved by the Governor's Division of Emergency Management. Develop and sustain a working relationship with your local emergency management coordinators. Using resources from the Extension Veterinary Medicine Program unit, create animal-related appendices to the local emergency management plan. Annually review Animal Issues Committee membership to maintain active, committed members. Disaster events, whether intentional or unintentional, present many challenges in extreme and stressful circumstances. The proactive efforts of your Animal Issues Committee will provide essential information to responders at a crucial time.